Hi, how are you?
All good. How are you?
Hello.
Hi, very good. Welcome to our today's session. I'd like to introduce our viewers, Ms. Meena Murthy Kakkar and Mr. Vishal Kakkar from Envisage Architecture in Gurgaon. It is a 19-year-old practice, and they specialize in ideation, conceptualization, and until the execution of the project, and they take projects on turnkey basis. So, welcome, guys, today. And I'm sure you know the topic for today is post-pandemic facades and fenestration. So I would also like to, ask the viewers to put in their questions, and I'll try and take as many as I can, either during the session or at the end of the session. So you guys would like to introduce your firm to the
Yes,
viewers?
I think you already introduced us. So I'm Meena, and
Vishal.
yes, so we've been here for 19 years in this profession, and we are primarily into we do residential architecture and interiors. We also do corporate materials, and we do institutional architecture. So yes, we do deal with fenestrations on various kinds and typologies. It could be in the exteriors, it could also be in the interiors. So depending on your design and the way you want to use it. So yes, I think we really look forward to having this conversation with you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me just start with the first question. Now, of course, all of us know that the pandemic has really changed a lot of things around us. So when it comes to fenestration and a bit of about architecture as well, how do you think things have changed? Either for architecture or even for fenestration. So your views on that?
Okay, so see the industry of fenestration, the fenestration industry, I wouldn't say has changed as much as people's awareness has, that's undergone a metamorphosis. So people are much more, aware of the necessity of having a healthy space to live in or work out of. And, one of the main components of having a healthy space comes from natural light and ventilation. And from that perspective, it is extremely important that we give the design of fenestrations a lot of importance. And so that, I think, the awareness is something that's jump as opposed to the material seeing a jump in the pandemic. So yes, we don't have to educate our clients on this anymore. They come with us with, they have the budget in mind for,
Right.
putting in good materials and good stuff, and they want their house to be very well lit and ventilated. So that's something, that's the change that we've seen.
Okay. So the key thing being that now people, after having been in their homes for 3 months, definitely would have, experienced the architecture of the house as well as the requirement of being inside, but still be wanting to enjoy the outside, and that's only through the fenestration. So
Yes,
I think, yes.
yes.
So basically,
And the
people have.
connect that you have with your indoor spaces has gone up as well. So earlier people used to be in their homes for a very less period of time, and now they're there for a very long time. So they know that the space has to be healthy. You don't want to feel very depressed because of lack of light and ventilation inside a space. I mean, it has a deep impact on our mental well-being as well. So people realize that, and for sure that so that's something that we've
Yeah.
seen.
So basically, now this perceive more value in,
Yeah.
how the architecture of the dwelling or the habitat should be as against, pre-pandemic times, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Great. So let's move on to the next question now. How do you, in your experience, what was the change that the vendors that you work with actually made in the way they, handle their supply chains for customers, for, sites, etc., etc. So what are the changes that you found post-pandemic that, had actually significantly changed in the way the vendors have started operating?
Yeah, so I think, yeah, that's a very important question for, this during this pandemic and after this. Earlier, these companies and vendors, so they had their dedicated showrooms, and then they were asked for any kind of a query they wanted. even architects as well as all the customers to visit there and, find out the solution.
Go to the showroom to see their stuff.
Yeah. But I think after doing this, first of all, the technology plays a very important role. Now, as far as the technology is concerned, these vendors are also becomes a very customer friendly. Now companies are coming up with the smaller kits, and they sometimes they visited the houses and the end customers to show them the products. So that way, I think they actually become very customer friendly.
They have smaller kits and packages that they take to the site. They are not insisting on us visiting their showroom any more. It's much more. It's become friendly.
So I think it's more of now they are very much customer friendly.
They've also invested a lot in, say, technology in terms of, they very easily, they have these videos that are self-explanatory and very detailed set of information, which we used to get only when we used to go to the showrooms in pre-pandemic times. That's definitely, there's a big jump in the way they deal with architects and clients now. So
I'll give you a download on what happened actually with us. That earlier, whenever the customers used to we used to go and pitch to the customers. They always wanted to, other than the samples that we used to show them, they wanted to visit some houses so that they could get a real feel of the product in how it would look like in their residence or in a project. So obviously the customers who were living in those houses, as well as the ones who wanted to visit during the pandemic and after the pandemic, they started becoming more reserved in inviting someone, or, and others who wanted to go, they were reluctant to kind of go to sites. Then the display center came into being. But after the second wave, now the customers want that, there should be more and more videos on YouTube for the demonstration of the product. There should be more and more videos of the display center for that matter. So what they want now is a very personalized approach of selling, wherein they expect us to bring a window to their house for them to experience it.
Exactly.
True. Absolutely correct.
See, it's also helpful for us as an architect when we are designing, and in our office when we get that product, we don't have to take half a day off to visit a store, and so while we are at the comfort of our and safety of our office, we get the samples, and as part of a bigger discussion, this comes into play. So it's much easier for us to sell the product as well, to explain something to them. Vis-a-vis, going to a store which is far away and taking half a day off. So that's,
and some of the companies now they have their satellite offices also, around the places. Earlier they used to have only one headquarters where you have to visit and you have to invest a lot of time, but now they have changed after this time.
Yeah, and now, I mean, what we had to do was also offer some customers who are from the premium segment a window to be installed as a mock-up in their prospective house, because to carry a large window to someone's house for making him experience the feel of the movement, etc., was becoming difficult. So we offered the customers an installation of a mock-up for their sites, and many of them really appreciated the fact. Why? Because in that, of course, I mean, it takes time for us to make the window as per the sizes, but they were ready to wait for this 15 days or 1 month time, that whatsoever was required, so that they could kind of feel the product as well as also show it to their family members, which at times not all of them, it is not possible for all of them to kind of visit the showrooms also together, because everyone has different commitments.
I think the fact that you offer a mock-up to be set up itself will give someone a lot of confidence to go ahead with the product. Okay?
Yes.
So it's because I don't think everyone does this, everyone is open to this. At times the clients don't have that kind of a time line with them wherein they say, okay, see, be it one window, be it 10 windows, you need the processing time anyway, right? So I think the fact that you offer this itself is a huge thing. I mean, I think that works quite well for people who want to gain that confidence, and this will give them a lot of confidence.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, the samples with us right now, the samples work really well. So samples, and you have what people do is they have a box with all the colors, color palettes and everything. So it's a very handy kit. And the client can literally touch, feel, and then place the order. So
as an architect, it is very easier for us to visualize, okay, this is a product which we are looking at, and on that size, how the thing looks, the fenestration, and how much glass is going to come, and the what all the sections are going to be. But again, this is actually very helpful, very helpful.
Great. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I mean, how do you think, that the pandemic has really opened up any doors for innovation in the fenestration industry? I mean, in your projects, how would you be looking at that? Or is there anything that probably you would personally want, that if there is a feature or there is some innovation that's introduced, it really makes it easy for either the implementation of the architectural intent or adds on to the comfort of the customers?
So this is something that when you ask us a question like this, it makes us think, and we have been doing stuff like this. Actually, what has happened is, one is, as I just previously mentioned, that the awareness has gone up notches as far as fenestration is concerned. So people are searching more, what newer solutions are there in the market, and people are wanting to know more, and they're willing to experiment as well. So that one thing has definitely worked for the fenestration industry, and so people are responding to that demand and coming up with newer solutions and newer products in the market. That is as far as the type or a new type is concerned. But we are also experimenting on the usage of some of our older solutions. Okay. Now, for instance, earlier we used to have, say, sliding doors and stuff only on, say, if you have a garden and you have a French windows doors and you open them out, and so sliders used to be used there. Now, because of the pandemic, say, the usage of internal spaces has also become it needs to be very flexible. So you need to have partitions in place when you want them. You need to open out spaces when you don't want them. So spatial flexibility is something that we are, wanting to come up. We want more solutions for that. And in this aspect, we have tried using these sliding foldings and bringing these into the interiors. Are you audible? Are we still connected? I'll see. Are we audible? Okay. All right. So what we have done is we have started, so for instance, if it's an office, and earlier there used to be a space dedicated to a conference room. Now people with, things being in a very, they're not, the stuff is always changing, and you don't know what's the situation today and what might be, say, 10 days or a month later or 6 months later. So people want flexibility in their layouts, be it inside homes or be it inside offices. They want convertible spaces. And here, these, say, your fenestration systems, they come in very handy. Say, we're doing an office right now wherein the entire conference room has sliding glass, sections. So it acts as a workstation table. But when you want to have a conference, you just have to pull these spaces in, and then it turns into conference room. So
the same area can be used for multiple usage by using only these sliders. So that is one of the innovation what we can do in terms of space. Because as far as conference is concerned, you are not going to use the conference
the entire day. So you have a floating population in an office as well. So sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not there. So to help convert one space to the other, that is a innovation in the way we use an existing material. And of course, there are, as I just said, that we are searching for more solutions, better things, and stuff which will help us reduce our heat more, or it's more effective indoors, and it'll let in air without letting in sun, and so on and so forth. So we are all searching for newer and better solutions. So innovation is something that definitely is happening. Both in usage and in technology.
Yeah. Okay. So our personal experience was that, two things. Number one, when people were spending more time at homes, they wanted to connect with the outside better. So so that they could bring more of outside in. And the second was that since they were using electricity at home more and sitting at home more, so they preferred for us to introduce the thermal break systems, which is already under development. And I think in another 3 to 6 months time we'll be good to go with the introduction of thermal brake systems. So both ways, energy as well as getting the outside in. So these are the developments that actually happened with us in the post-pandemic times. So okay, now let's move on to the next question. Now, what do you think about automation? Now, are we yet too far in terms of people really wanting to have automation in Windows, or as an architect, do you prefer that it should be? What are your views about it?
In this, I would like to say, first of all, now when we see the Western countries, they are actually using automation for their fenestrations. So now I think automation of the facade is actually now becoming more and more important. Reason is because now people are at their home inside the house. So they want that kind of a comfort also. Because earlier we used to design, now also, but still earlier we used to design the basis on the climatic conditions of that particular area.
In a particular season or a year, the way a general level of floors and shading devices and stuff.
But now, the facades are no longer a fixed dormant fabric actually. So now it is very much changing. Now we want a optimal thermal comfort, then integrating the photovoltaic also. Basically, the energy of that building is also being, used for that. We are getting the solar energy can be utilized. So definitely automation is actually becoming very, very important. And I think that will be the future, because the main advantages are actually, you can reduce the solar gains. Then
we are also reducing our dependency on artificial means of heating and cooling.
Yes.
If our fenestrations are, given the time period of the entire day, when the sun moves and the weather changes and the light patterns change, if our facade can, automate itself to adjust to those levels and let in light when it is needed more and, cut it when it's not needed, then we are talking of something extremely sustainable here. So definitely this has to be the future. Intelligent facades, smart facades, for sure we need.
Can you hear me now? We should be in between.
Yeah, now. Yeah.
Sorry. So are we missed you, the last few statements. So if you can just, repeat.
Yes, of course. So I said, given the kind of, space we are in, sustainability, is of utmost importance. And when we are talking of these automated facades, it helps us make the space that much more sustainable in terms of avoiding artificial heating and cooling indoors. Okay, the dependability on artificial heating and cooling methodologies. So yes, smart facades, intelligent facades. So you even have, glass which can take in sunlight. So you have solar glass also panels which are coming up in a lot of countries. So you have fenestrations which also generate electricity. So you have, I think, technology and technological advancement is the way ahead as far as fenestrations go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, okay. So let's move on to the next question. How do you think the choice of materials by customers has changed post-pandemic? Have you seen a change that people have started preferring a certain kind of a material, the typologies, the
Which issue is there? Right?
Yeah, we missed you, but yeah, we are fine now.
You're fine? Okay, we are on Wi-Fi. Okay, so see, one of the things is that our awareness of and the need to be sustainable has gone up tremendously in the pandemic. So we all realize that sustainability is the way ahead. So earlier there used to be this insistence of having wooden windows and wooden doors and wooden everything. Okay, and now people do realize that no, the materials, they have to be, should be able to recycle them really well, and they should give you sound insulation and heat insulation, and so on and so forth. A lot of extra things. So plus they should have a lesser carbon footprint. So how much energy. I mean, you compare making of say UPVC window or an aluminum window versus a wooden window. You need to compare all these hidden energy, embodied energy also. So when you look at all of that, then we have a win-win situation when technology steps into this thing and people are aware of that. People come to us and they know, okay, if their house is say by a main road, they say, okay, we want a DG double glazed window system here. We want to cut down on the heat and the sound. So sustainability and awareness, both of them have gone tremendously up in the pandemic, and clients are coming to us with, we don't have to teach them anymore.
They are much more aware. They are aware about eco-friendly materials and what are the impact on the
earth. We used to have to explain things to them. Now they realize that things can go totally awry if you're not sustainable in this world anymore. And so they do their background research. They have their understanding in place in order before they come to us, which is it's a major change that we've noticed during this period.
So the key takeaway from your answer is, one, that the customer has become more aware about sustainability, and the second being that before he is approaching a project for architecture or a preferred architect, he's better aware of what he wants as against what he was.
Absolutely.
Then any factors has changed. Okay, well said, guys. So let's move on to the next question. So what is your preferred, facade or fenestration material and the brand, and why? So this question I ask everyone, and you don't need to, force yourself to speak something about us, but generally, what do you guys use? What do you like in them? And how do you go about selecting the brands and the fenestration systems that you use?
So we will shy away from naming the brands here. We'll talk about the materials instead. And so, see, I think at the end of the day, it's UPVC versus aluminium. When we have to choose
fenestrations.
Absolutely. So we avoid wooden fenestrations totally. So when we talk of UPVC versus aluminium, we need to look at one is, of course, the durability. So when people come to us, they already have certain brands in their heads. So they say, okay, why do you prefer this over the other? Because of course, durability, services. Your team has to be super approachable and super responsive. Okay, so clients are already at their wits' end trying to manage a lot of things in a project. So if there is extremely good response and there is durability and there is that they've seen the product and they know that it's going to last them very well, they are going to go for it. So people, are you audible or have you lost us somewhere? Should I repeat, or was I audible the last time?
Yeah, you were audible all through.
Okay, all right. So so durability and service are two major factors, and of course we help them choose between say UPVC and aluminium depending on where we want to put what. So both of them have their pros and cons, and
what is required there. So again, each nature of the project is different where you are putting those. So that is also very important. So
for bigger spaces, you go for aluminium, and if you have a double height glazing, like for a couple of our projects, it's residential thing, but it has a double height glazing in the front, okay, and it's a northern side, so we said okay, double height works here, but you need something that's strong and durable. So UPVC doesn't work in those situations. Many more say members in it. It can't handle larger pieces of glass. So we do aluminium there.
So workability of material is important. How you are going to use, what are the performance of that material in particular place. So that is very important.
Okay, so the key takeaway again, being that basically we are, or you guys are, you prefer to use a pre-engineered system as against something which is done on site. And then obviously sustainability is one that you are looking at for whatsoever you advise to your customers. So yes, the same thing, although we are exclusively into aluminium, but whenever there is a suggestion that we have to give to a customer, we definitely tell them that, let's be very collaborative in the industry. UPVC is also a good option for you people in case it suits your budget as well as the aesthetics or the architect intent that you guys are looking for. But at least we need to move away from a site, fabricated product to a well-engineered factory-made product.
Right.
Okay.
See, in being in the NCR, we have an extreme of both weathers also. Now,
Correct.
even in this situation, we need materials which can, bear this weather change and the extremes of both heat and cold. And our traditional systems, they offer a lot of, resistance to, like, there's a lot of problem in this weather change.
Expansion and contraction is there actually because of the weather change, which is actually not there in the material like aluminum or UPVC. So that is a major advantage.
Yeah, heat is also. So, yep.
Okay, great. So we've come to the last question of the session. So what are the performance, parameters or let's say features that you are looking at, when it comes to safety and durability of the product? So is there any specific performance features and safety features that you have in mind while you're selecting a fenestration product?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the safety is utmost important, and performance of that material again depends on the usage. So when we talk about the size of the window, or maybe when we say the altitude where we are going to use the windows, so those are the things which are actually very important in terms of safety. Because let's say, for example, in the high rise, we definitely would like to use aluminum over UPVC. Reason is because of the heavy wind load, the strength of that material is very good. So definitely, yes, for fenestration, the same thing we, try and educate to our customers in terms of, the safety as well as performance. And in performance, yes, we are actually definitely look for something which will be aesthetically pleasing also when we use it for the projects. Let's say, for example, for the commercial projects, we would like to use aluminum, which will give me, a very thinner sections. And then, the DG glass also can be used, and thermal resistance.
We also look at what kind of coatings the company, comes with. Okay, so they should not have any volatile compounds happening there. And, at the end of the day, you are talking of the indoor air quality. And, just because, there's like it's a major, say, sunny area that you're putting it in, then you should not have problems with all these emissions and things like that. So we need to ensure that the company that we are going in for, has all these.
So thermal insulation, fire resistance, soundproofing. So these are certain items or certain parameters where we can, judge a material. And definitely we would like to educate our clients who are not that technically sound. Okay, these are the materials which is available in the market, and simultaneously definitely that the total costing of that material, so that they can judge it in a better way.
There's also aesthetics, as we just said, this is like the most important. The second most important thing would be the aesthetics. And what happens is, given a choice between aluminum and UPVC, we usually prefer UPVC for the smaller areas and aluminum for the larger windows. So if you have a larger fenestration, then aluminum can take bigger glass pieces as opposed to UPVC.
Right.
So definitely that's a win-win situation there. So these are the things that, and as we've already spoken about sound.
Yeah, performance and safety definitely.
Sound, heat, wind, these are the main. Light.
So I'd like to add on a few things that probably the viewer should be looking at. Number one, with more and more market maturing for pre-engineered products, obviously there are more and more companies coming in, and when there are more and more companies coming in, there is cutthroat competition. And India being a developing country, there are instances where a person is only willing to take the orders for the price that he's getting and supply as per the price that he's getting. So what one should actually look at is that whether the vendor is providing structural calculations for the sections that he is using. Why? Because we may have a very large span of glass, but the section should not be under-designed, which leads to breakage of the glass. So one is the structural calculations for each and every window for the wind load pressures that are applicable for that area, and that's as per IS 875 Part 3. Second thing is that what customers with times to come should be looking at is a thermal break system for more and more heat insulation. Why? Because we have already graduated from a single glass to a double glass. And I think now it's the time to move on from a cold section to a thermal break section, which helps to reduce heat loss. The third thing being the use of accessories. Now, again, so when the product gets, camouflaged under a brand name, many customers don't get into the details of it. But one should be looking at the handles and the rollers with a minimum guarantee of 25,000 cycles. It should be tested for minimum 25,000 cycles of operations, which would kind of secure their interest of the product long lasting. Lasting longer than probably they would be using it. So these are the few things that people should be looking at. A brand definitely is important, but at the same time, as a responsible brand owner and a supplier, we should also be telling the customers in their understandable language. Example, if I talk of thermal break, I can always say, okay, this reduces your U value from X to Y. But for a customer, it's rocket science. He just doesn't know what's U value. I may go on next to explain him. It's the heat savings in the units of watts per square meter Kelvin. Now he wouldn't know what's Kelvin. So what should happen is that basically he should be given that how much, considering the difference in temperature outside and inside. Let's say we have 45 degrees outside and our ambient temperature is 25 degrees. What kind of wattage or what kind of units of energy he would save, and what will be the payback? Just like the solar companies do these days. Okay, if you use double glass,
explain it to them. That's exactly how we explain it to them. Like, this is the saving in terms of electricity, units that they're going to be saving.
Right.
So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So that's my feedback. My kind of advice to the viewers, that when they are going in for probably market being, it's not only fenestration, but almost every materials, the companies which are actually serious about their businesses are becoming very well prepared and working on giving the customer a sustainable solution. And they're also working on the numbers which probably the customer should understand. So that's my take on that. So thank you guys. Thank you.
We also would like to say that more than when you're building a new home. Am I audible? Okay, yeah. So when you're building a new home,
we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So I said when you're building a new home, it's my advice to anybody who's watching this that your fenestrations are an investment. Okay, so do invest wisely. It's like when you invest in something, you need to understand their short-term benefits, long-term benefits, everything, right? And then you decide how much money to put in and what to buy. Okay, so we need to look at fenestration design as an investment currently and not just opt for some short-term solutions. Do look at the performance, do look at what you're going to gain in the long run, and then choose wisely. So, you might change your interiors after, say, 2 years or 3 years, but you will not do so with a fenestration.
Absolutely.
That stays. So that's making the building healthy. So make it healthy before you make it pretty.
So it's a one-time investment when we talk about the building. So it's a one-time investment. If you can invest in wisely, I think that will be very good for the next years.
Okay, great. It was very good to have you guys in today's session. So although you've said something about your firm, and any last words about, on the present, today's topic, post-pandemic facades and fenestration, any last words from you guys?
I think it is extremely necessary. As a firm, we believe in, making sustainable buildings a lot. And first is when, if any one of you, any viewer is about to get their home design, it's a start from scratch kind of a home, please ensure that you respond to the light and ventilation very well. Okay, before you do anything else, the first step is to ensure what is it that you have from the nature and utilize it to make your space a healthier and a better one. So please do ensure that your spaces have all these facilities in place, and then you look at the aesthetic treatment of the house. So please, I think, be sustainable, be good. That's all.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. For next time I'm in Gurgaon, I'll definitely try and drop in. And if you guys are coming to Chandigarh, you're most welcome to visit us. Thank you for today.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.